Welcome to the Iferia TechCast, where we bring you all things science, engineering, technology, and innovation. I'm your host, Ezekiel Iferia, and today we are joined by Ofer Lidsky, the founder and CEO of Excellent Brain. He started his career in cybersecurity and software architecture, optimizing digital systems and securing data. Then he realized the most powerful computer exists. The most powerful computer in existence wasn't a server. It was the human brain. Now he builds neurofeedback. He builds neurofeedback solutions for ADHD, focus, and cognitive performance, making advanced brain making advanced brain training technology accessible to clinics, educators, and individuals worldwide. So, over. I am truly honored and excited to welcome you to the show, sir. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us here today.
Sure, Ezekiel. Thank you very much for hosting me on your show. It's an honor for me. Let's get going.
It's a pleasure to welcome you, sir. So let's get started over. You spent years mastering cybersecurity and software architecture, optimizing digital systems, securing data, debugging complex code. Then you pivoted to the human brain. So what was the light bulb moment that made you realize the most powerful under-optimized computer in existence wasn't a server, it was you?
That's a very nice question. So I believe about maybe a little bit more than 15 years ago, my son, who is 28 years old today, was in special education. And it was pretty hard and challenging. And so this was one of the sides that got me into this. And the other thing is that I'm a researcher and I research on a lot of technologies. And I found out that there is a technology called neurofeedback, which exists for many years. Actually, it started in the early 80s, so many, many years, and nobody heard about it. And it's a wonderful technology to train the brain. And its most effective domain is ADHD. So I went to study this technology and I understood that it's not accessible. It's very expensive and it uses wet sensors and devices, which costs a lot of money. And I said to myself, this is something I can do. I can develop a platform and a technology that will make neurofeedback for ADHD accessible to almost everyone with a clear vision to make a difference in the world of ADHD, which today is a pandemic in most of the countries in the world.
All right. Over. Thank you for sharing that little story with us. So you now build neurofeedback solutions for ADHD, focus, and cognitive performance. For someone who's never heard of neurofeedback before, what exactly is it? How does it actually rewire the brain, and why is that different from just trying harder or meditating?
So a lot of things work and makes you improve. But what makes neurofeedback so effective compared to other things is that it's like a mirror to your brain. You wear a
Mm.
sensor on your brain, on your forehead, an EEG sensor that reads your brain waves and transmits them to the computer. And then the computer analyzes your brain waves and give you a feedback. So you know what's happening right now in your brain. And then you can adjust it. So I can give an example. The training itself for ADHD it looks like small games. You sit in front of the computer twice a week for 20 minutes with a sensor on your forehead and you play mini games, which really, in a very effective way, train your attention ability. So, for example, on the screen, you will see a car and you have to concentrate, and the car starts to drive with your mind power. You don't use the keyboard or mouse, you use your mind. The car starts to drive. Once you have a distraction, internal or external, and your focus goes down, the car will stop and you understand that something happened and now you fix it and you concentrate back to make it drive. Now, when you repeat this training, these 20 minutes twice a week for 30 times, you really improve three main aspects of ADHD. One is your attention span, the ability to stay on a single thread of thought for longer, which is cognitive performance. And the other two is reducing hyperactivity and impulsivity in a very effective way. So this is one of the most effective methods to improve ADHD today. So when someone has to choose where he's going to put his money and time and effort, this is one of the best solutions out there.
All right. All right. That was truly insightful response. Over does go to clarify what it is for the beginner who has never heard of it before. So you have a background in cybersecurity. So how does that training inform your approach to brain training? Are there any parallels between securing a network and optimizing a nervous system?
So let's say there are two aspects of that. One is that when you build a platform, a computerized platform, you better make sure that it is secured, especially when it holds very important information and data of other people. Security in terms of building a system is highly important today, especially in these days where you have different AI hacking systems and very very complex systems that can do a lot of damage. By the way, one of the most important things that you can have building a software platform is to have a good backup for your system. So no matter what happens to the system, you can really restore and get it back to work in a very quick way. Now, the other aspect is the brain. The brain can also be hacked as well. We can see in the past 20, 30 years that technology has changed how the brain works for people. I can give two main examples. One of them is the hippocampus is an area in the brain that has to do when you drive in 3D, and you need a map and you need to know where you're going and to navigate. This is your hippocampus working.
Mhm.
Today, people are not using that area in the brain anymore because they are using Waze or Google Maps. And actually, people don't even know how to drive back from their supermarket to home without using navigation. So they don't use that part of the brain. And one of the basic statements in brain science is that lose it or use it or lose it. So when you don't use something in the brain, it degrades. And today
Mhm.
there is research that shows that the part in the brain that has to do with navigation is really in degradation. The other aspect that we can see is that the attention of people is going down. So I used to read a lot of books when I was a kid. And in the past 20, 30 years, because we have WhatsApp and smartphones and screens and so on, it became very, very hard to read books. I mean, today I only read small parts of information and everything is really downgraded to give it to you right now. And there is a funny research that has been done that today a human being has less patience and attention than a golden fish. So, for example, when someone lands on a website, you have about 2.5 seconds to get him inside the website, or he will jump to the next website. And the
Mhm.
goldfish looks 7 or 8 seconds or something before he moves to the next thing. So it's funny to compare that, but we really have a big problem worldwide when it comes to the attention levels of people.
Okay. You talk about the use it or lose it concept. You also talk about humans having very short attention spans nowadays. So you made a example with, Google Maps and driving, the hippocampus, not really utilizing it. Are you trying to say now that humans generally are having a decline in their cognitive performance due to the enhancements from technology?
Well, there are two answers for that. In terms of declining cognitive performance, I'm not sure until AI showed up. Today, students, they don't learn anything anymore. They just ask AI, a Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude, and so you don't really study and learn anymore like before. So if we look into the future, I believe these technologies will degrade the cognitive performance of people. So we have on one side the attention span, and the other side technologies like AI that makes people learn a lot less and remember a lot less because they don't need to remember. You just ask the AI and get the answer right away. You don't need to know anything anymore like before.
Okay, okay. That's a really interesting response. Heard that a couple of times having conversations like this with people on this podcast. Thank you very much for also sharing your opinion on that. So going back to neurofeedback, what does it look like? What does neurofeedback for ADHD actually look like in practice? You've talked about, give us an initial example of driving a car with your mind. So, if someone sits down with your system, what do they see? What do they feel? What do they experience? How do they know something is changing?
Great, great question. So first of all, let's take an example, a kid, let's say he's 10 years old and he was diagnosed with ADHD, and now he's going to start a training program, which is doing 30 sessions of 20 minutes. It will take him 15 weeks to perform this. And at the first few trainings, you will be very excited because the first time he sits in front of the computer and you feel like a Jedi, you move the car with your mind. It's a great experience. But
Mhm.
after a few training of more of the same, you get used to that. And then it's a little bit boring and you have to, you know, pick up your attention and stay there for 20 minutes. And it's not easy. Sometimes it's really hard. You have to sit for 20 minutes and concentrate. Same way, like, for example, I will take you now to play chess for 20 minutes and you have to really concentrate on the chess game and nothing else. So as he goes along the training program, there are like points that are more challenging because it's more boring. But then usually after 10 sessions, he begins to feel some changes. For example, suddenly he reads 10 pages in a book instead of one page. And this gives him a lot of motivation because he understands that the work he's doing in the neurofeedback sessions really pays off. And this is something that's going to really help him in the future. And he feels better at school, you know. And come to think of it, attention is something that has to do with everything in your life. Wherever your focus is, this is where life is happening. So this really excels everything in life, including communication with people, almost anything you do. So once you start to feel the changes and you feel better with yourself and you're doing good, this really gives motivation to finish the training program. And after 30 sessions, a lot of people really change their lives. So for example, a kid who could not sit in class for 45 minutes suddenly can really do it. He can really
Mm.
keep himself in class and do that 45 minutes where usually it's pretty boring, the classes in school. So this is how it goes usually for most of the training.
Okay, okay. So, Ofa, you said the mission of Excellent Brain is to take sophisticated brain training technology out of the elite research labs and put it into the hands of clinicians, educators, and individuals. So why has that technology been locked away? What's the gap you are actually closing?
Probably there are two gaps that I can see. One is technological, which means that the devices and the software that has been used by neurofeedback for many years was very complicated and very expensive. So only people with a lot of knowledge could really use neurofeedback in an effective way. And then that meant that the client has to pay a lot of money. And this is why only the rich people could reach that technology for many, many years. The other aspect that I can see has to do with the drug companies. I mean, the most popular solution for ADHD in most Western countries is drug treatment. And this is all over the world. Actually, the US and Israel are the top in the world in giving drugs for ADHD for kids. So these two aspects kept neurofeedback out of the picture. But now, not now, we are doing it for 11 years. We are opening a new future for people that can really get access to this wonderful technology. In Israel, where we started, we are a registered program by the Israeli Ministry of Education, and we also operate in different schools in Israel. And now, in the past few years, we started to spread around the world. We already have clients, clinicians, and so on from over 20 countries. The platform itself is developed in over 9 different languages to make it really accessible. And we really hope that in the next few years, we are going to make big changes in the domain of ADHD.
Okay. So, Ofer, going back to the topic of artificial intelligence, but this time coming from a different angle. So, how is AI currently being used to accelerate our understanding of human cognitive performance? I mean, what can AI see in brainwave data that human analysis might miss?
Well, AI is very good in detecting patterns. So it can be used for different kind of research, including analyzing brainwaves, which can take it to the next level. You can see that today already some AI systems give better diagnosis than doctors because they have a lot of information. But on another point of view, let's not be mistaken. AI is just a computer software. It's a statistical software that goes over huge amounts of data, and then it can really take and detect different patterns. A lot of people, they have big mistakes that they think that AI, for example, has consciousness or have feelings or different stuff like that. And they really go to a point where they have relationship with the AI. And we have to understand that no computer in the world can understand nothing. It's just statistical mathematics over huge databases that gives great results that looks to us like a human being has done that. But there's nothing to learn from how AI works compared to how the brain works. The brain is something that evolution created over 3.5 billion years until the human brain was created. And AI is a completely different system that can bring results which are wonderful, but we have to use it in the right way and, not take it to the place where it's dangerous and people fall in love with AI virtual girlfriend or something like that. That already happened in the world.
Okay. Really insightful response, Ofer. So, you also lead Path to Power, a personal development program that bridges science and mindset. So why is it important to have a research-backed foundation when discussing personal empowerment? What's wrong with just positive thinking alone?
Well, first of all, I really love the domain of leadership. It's something that I've
Mhm.
been doing for over 15 years. And it's something that I do from really from my heart because I really love to help people and take them to their next level. But it's also important that what you teach and give people will have some scientific basis, something that has already have research and that it works. And the domain I'm in leadership is called leadership as an ontological phenomenological phenomena, which means that it's a very interesting thing because there are a lot of different domains in leadership. But where I come from is a place that says that in leadership, regular knowledge does not make a difference, which means you can have a PhD in leadership and that does not make you a leader. There is something else there that makes a leader a leader. And
Mm.
this is the kind of teaching the teaching that comes from the domain of being a leader, how to be a leader. And it's very interesting, and it's a transformational technology that makes people really jump to their next level. And this is something I really like to do. I lecture about leadership. Now I'm going to do a course about leadership. And it's something that I think the world needs. There is a crisis in leadership all over the world.
All right. So, going back to neurotechnology, where do you see neurotechnology heading in the next 5 to 10 years?
That's a great question. Well, I see a few aspects there. One, I like more because I think that neurofeedback will be more accessible, more affordable, and will help a lot more people in the world in the next 5, 10 years. I believe this is the decade of neurofeedback. On the other hand, there are very dangerous technologies that are being developed, which are might even change how a human being is. So, for example, brain implants and connecting the internet to our consciousness and stuff like that can really bring a new thing that I don't know where it's going to go. And sometimes it's a little bit scary, even.
Okay, we'll just wait the next 5 to 10 years and see how it plays out. Over.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you built a B2B tech company that scales across clinics and professional practices. So what did you learn about scaling a deep tech product that most founders don't understand until they try?
Well, I'm sure everyone knows it's really not easy. It's very, very hard, even. So we've been working for 11 years to scale up Excellent Brain, and only in the past few years, we're starting to see the fruits of all that work because scaling a company worldwide and reaching a lot of countries with different culture and different language is something that takes methodology. You really need to know what you're doing. You have to create a detailed plan on how you're going to do it. So it's the business plan and the marketing plan and the sales plan. Everything should be really in details in order to bring success and really reach the goals that you set up for yourself. And it's not easy, but it's doable. And this is actually what I'm doing in the past few years.
So for you, what has been the most rewarding transformation you've seen since you launched your neurofeedback solutions?
Well, I really love the work I do because it makes a difference in people's life, especially kids. And we get a lot of testimonials and emails from kids and parents and teachers who really tell us the difference that made for their kids or for their students. And this is something that is so great every time from like it's from the beginning. And this is what makes us drive, making a difference for kids who suffer from ADHD. And it's really, they have a hard life because of that. And it can be different. And I think that's the main drive of our company is to see how many people we help worldwide and how does it make a difference in their lives and make their lives better.
So, as a founder, how do you balance technical rigor with empathy for your team and clients? How do you personally stay sharp, focused, and regulated?
Well, that's a great question. First of all, you always have to be empathic to everyone, whether it's your employees or colleagues or clients or whatever it is. You have to keep it cool and be as nice as you can. But how do I keep myself in a really good shape? A few things. First of all, in the past 2 years, I've been doing ice bath, cold plunge every day. I have an ice bath in my home. When I get back from work, I train and then I go into the ice bath for 2 years, every day in a row. And this really keeps me focused and in shape. And so I recommend that for everyone. This is something that I never even imagined how good it is and how it took me to the next level.
That is awesome. So, part of the theme of this podcast is centered around the topic of innovation. And for that reason, I'd like to just chip in a question before we wrap up that's centered around innovation. Over, after moving from code to cognition, from cybersecurity to neurofeedback, I'd like to know, what does innovation in human performance mean to you now?
Well, it really means the world for me. I mean, I took all my knowledge and I started programming when I was 7 years old. My first job at a computer company was when I was 12. And when I was 20, I already had my first business. And all my career, which spans over 40 years already, I've been building myself more and more on knowledge and experience in order to get to this point where I can really create things that makes a difference in the world. And this is what drives me.
Okay, okay. That's quite a very early age to start a career.
For
Thanks for
sure.
also sharing that with us. Yeah, so to wrap things up here, for our listeners who actually want to go explore neurofeedback for themselves, learn more about excellent brain, or just understand how to upgrade their own internal operating system, where is the best place for them to go start?
Well, anyone can come to our website, read a lot of information, and contact us to get more information if they need it. Our website is www.excellent-brain.com. Very easy. You can also search in Google Excellent Brain. You will get to our website. There's a lot of information there, and you can contact us and we'll give you whatever you want.
It has been really interesting and a truly insightful conversation with you here today, sir. And I'm indeed honored and excited to have you as a guest here. Thank you once again for taking the time to join us.
Ezekiel, you're great. Thank you very much for having me, and hopefully we'll meet in the future again.